and we'll keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries. 100 human body mysteries, looping softly, endlessly through the night. Tonight we'll drift through why your body creates its own internal painkiller that is thousands of times stronger than morphine. The secret reason you can't tickle yourself, and the specific brain system that blocks it. How the 1 million miles of wiring inside your body keeps the lights on while you sleep. There's nothing you need to do now. Just let your body sink. Heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you, every muscle softening, your heartbeat slowing, thump, thump, matching the rhythm of space itself. Shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper into the calm, the quiet, the dark. If this helps you rest, tap subscribe and hit like, so others can find this calm too, but only if your eyes are still open. Otherwise, just drift. Now, let's drift into human body. Your heart, this soft fist of muscle, beats about 100,000 times every single day. Thump, thump, thump. And you never have to think about it, never have to remind it. It just knows. Deep in the walls of your heart, there's a special cluster of cells, the sinoatrial node, your body's natural pacemaker, generating its own electricity. 60 to 100 tiny sparks every minute, like a lighthouse in the dark. Pulsing, pulsing, keeping time. And this heart of yours, it pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood every day through a network so vast, so impossibly intricate, that if you laid out all your blood vessels end to end, they would stretch 60,000 miles, enough to circle the earth 2.5 times. Can you feel it? That quiet hum, the blood moving through you, even now, as you sink deeper, heavier. Your blood, this river inside you, carries everything. Oxygen, nutrients, hormones whispering messages. And within this river, there are platelets, tiny fragments of cells, less than 2 micrometers across. And when you cut yourself, even the smallest paper cut, these platelets rush to the scene within seconds, clumping together, forming a plug, a temporary dam. They release chemicals that activate a cascade, a waterfall of clotting factors, 13 different proteins working in sequence, like dominoes falling, until finally fibrin threads weave together, creating a net, a scab, sealing the wound. All of this happening automatically while you sleep, while you dream. Let your breathing slow, in and out, in and out. Feel your lungs, these pink sponges, expanding or contracting, so soft, so delicate. Inside each lung, there are about 300 million tiny air sacs, alveoli, each one wrapped in the thinnest capillaries, where oxygen slips through, 1 cell thick, into your bloodstream. And carbon dioxide, the waste, slips out. This exchange happening 600 million times with every breath you take. The surface area of your lungs, if you could spread them flat, would cover a tennis court. all folded up inside your chest, and your diaphragm, this dome of muscle beneath your lungs, pulls down 20,000 times a day, creating space, drawing air in, without you thinking, without you trying, just breathing, automatic, eternal, like waves on a shore, in and out, in and out. Slower now, softer, your brain. 3 pounds of wrinkled tissue, floating in fluid, uses 20% of your body's oxygen, even though it's only 2% of your weight. It's a galaxy. 86 billion neurons, each one connected to thousands of others, creating trillions of synapses, tiny gaps where chemical messengers float across, neurotransmitters carrying thoughts, memories, dreams. Deep in your brain, in the cerebellum, the little brain tucked beneath the back of your skull, there's a processor more powerful than any computer, coordinating every movement, every gesture. It has more neurons than the rest of your brain combined. And it's why you can reach for a glass of water without calculating angles, without measuring distance. Your hand just knows. It's also why you can't tickle yourself. The cerebellum predicts your own movements, cancels out the sensation, so only unexpected touches from the outside world make you laugh, let your jaw relax, unclenching, teeth separating slightly. Your tongue, this muscular hydrostat, made entirely of muscle with no bones, contains about 10,000 taste buds, mostly on the top, but also on the sides, the back, even in your throat. Each taste bud lives for only 10 to 14 days before dying and being replaced, your sense of taste constantly renewing, regenerating. Those taste buds cluster on tiny bumps, papillae, creating a map across your tongue and buried in your nasal cavity, high up where you can't reach. The olfactory epithelium, a patch of tissue the size of a postage stamp, contains about 12 million olfactory receptor neurons. These cells reach up into the air with tiny hairs called cilia, waving gently, catching scent molecules, sending signals directly to your brain. The only place where your nervous system is exposed to the outside world, just millimeters from your thoughts. Your eyes, these soft orbs, are processing light right now, or would be, if they were open. But even closed, even in darkness, they're still working. The retina, the thin layer at the back of your eye, contains about 120 million rod cells for seeing in dim light, and 6 million cone cells for color, for detail. These cells convert photons, particles of light, into electrical signals, 10 billion calculations per second, and somehow your brain assembles all of this into sight, into the world you see, seamless, instantaneous, like magic. But it's chemistry, it's biology, it's you. Feel your eyelids growing heavier, the tiny muscles relaxing, releasing. Your tears, made by the lacrimal glands, tucked above your eyes, produce about 100 milliliters every day, washing away dust, bacteria, keeping your eyes moist, smooth. Each time you blink, and you blink 15 to 20 times per minute when awake, a thin film spreads across 3 layers, oil on top, water in the middle, mucus beneath, protecting, lubricating, and when you cry, these glands work faster, flooding your eyes, overflowing, emotions made liquid, made visible, your skin, the largest organ, about 20 square feet, weighing roughly 8 pounds, completely replaces itself every 28 days. New cells born deep in the basal layer, pushing upward, flattening, dying, filling with a tough protein called keratin, until they reach the surface as dead armor, invisible shields, falling away as dust. You shed about 30,000 dead skin cells every minute. 9 pounds of dead skin every year, becoming the dust in your room, the dust you're breathing, you, returning to you. Within your skin, about 5 million hair follicles, all of them formed before you were born. You'll never grow more. Each follicle has a tiny muscle attached, the erector pili, and when you're cold or frightened, these muscles contract, pulling the hair upright, creating goosebumps, an ancient reflex from when your ancestors had fur, making them look bigger, more threatening, or trapping air for warmth. But now, just a whisper of the past, just a shimmer across your skin. Let your muscles go soft, loose. Your body has more than 600 muscles, making up 40% of your weight. Each muscle fiber, thinner than a hair, contains thousands of smaller threads from your fibrils, which contain even smaller filaments, actin and myosin, sliding past each other, like oars rowing, pulling, contracting. This happens in units, motor units, one nerve controlling hundreds of muscle fibers, all firing together or staying silent, creating every movement you make, every gesture, every breath. Buried in your muscles, there are sensors, muscle spindles, tiny organs that measure stretch, tension. They're wrapped in spirals around special muscle fibers, and when you stretch, they send signals to your spinal cord, which sends signals back, telling your muscles to contract, to resist. This reflex is so fast, it doesn't involve your brain, just your spinal cord, the flexible bridge of nerves encased in bone, 33 vertebrae stacked like stones, with cushions between, discs of cartilage, absorbing shock, bending, protecting the information highway running through the center. Your bones, they seem so still, so permanent, but they're alive, constantly rebuilding, renewing. Cells called osteoclasts eat away old bone, while osteoblasts lay down new bone. Minerals crystallizing into calcium phosphate, harder than concrete. Your entire skeleton replaces itself every 10 years. You're not the same bones you stood on a decade ago, and your bones aren't a solid. They're filled with marrow, red marrow in the center, producing 2 million red blood cells every second, replacing the ones that die after 120 days of service, circling through your body over and over, carrying oxygen from your lungs to every cell, every tissue, and carrying carbon dioxide back, the waste product of being alive, of burning fuel, of existing. Your bone marrow also creates white blood cells, the warriors of your immune system, billions of them, patrolling, searching for invaders, bacteria, viruses, anything that doesn't belong. Some white blood cells, the B cells, mature in your bone marrow, learning to recognize millions of different enemies. Each B cell specializes in one specific threat, and when it finds that threat, it multiplies rapidly, creating an army of clones, all producing antibodies, Y-shaped proteins that lock onto the invader, marking it for destruction. Other white blood cells, T cells, mature in your thymus gland, a small organ behind your breastbone, largest in childhood, slowly shrinking as you age. Here, T cells learn to distinguish self from non-self, learning not to attack your own body. Those that fail this test are destroyed, about 98% of them. Only the most disciplined, the most precise, are released into your bloodstream, your spleen, tucked beneath your rib cage on your left side, about the size of your fist, is filtering your blood, every drop, cycling through about 300 times per day, removing old red blood cells, damaged platelets, storing white blood cells and platelets for emergencies. It's purple, soft, spongy, a vigilant guardian you never think about, working silently, endlessly. Feel your body sinking deeper, the mattress rising up to meet you, holding you. Your lymphatic system, a parallel river to your bloodstream, is carrying clear fluid, lymph, through a network of vessels and nodes. Hundreds of lymph nodes scattered throughout your body, in your neck, armpits, groin. Each node is a fortress filled with white blood cells, filtering the lymph, catching bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, destroying them before they spread. Unlike blood, which is pumped by your heart, lymph has no pump. It moves by muscle contractions, by breathing, by living, flowing slowly, gently, back toward your heart, draining into large veins near your collarbone, rejoining your bloodstream, completing the circle, the endless loop. Your liver, the largest internal organ, weighing 3 pounds, tucked beneath your right ribs, is a quiet factory, working day and night. It performs over 500 functions, filtering your blood, removing toxins, drugs, alcohol, breaking them down, neutralizing them. It produces bile, a greenish fluid stored in your gallbladder, released when you eat fatty foods, emulsifying the fat, breaking it into smaller droplets, making it easier to digest. Your liver also stores energy in the form of glycogen, long chains of glucose molecules, and when your blood sugar drops, between meals, while you sleep, your liver breaks down glycogen, releasing glucose, keeping your brain fed, keeping you alive. It also produces most of your blood clotting factors. Albumin, a protein that keeps fluid in your bloodstream, and it stores vitamins, iron, minerals, a warehouse inside you. Every minute, your liver receives about a quarter of your heart's output, 1,300 milliliters of blood flowing through, being cleansed, purified, and emerging renewed. It's one of the only organs that can regenerate. You could lose 70% of your liver, and within months, it would grow back, cell by cell, restoring itself. Ancient wisdom, ancient power. Let your shoulders melt down, away from your ears, releasing your stomach. This J-shaped bag, stretchy and muscular, can expand to hold about 2 liters of food, half a gallon, churning, mixing, breaking everything down. The walls of your stomach, lined with millions of pits, gastric pits, contain 3 types of cells. Some produce mucus, thick and protective, coating the stomach lining, preventing it from digesting itself. Others produce hydrochloric acid, so strong it could burn through metal, lowering the pH to 1.5, dissolving food, killing bacteria. And buried deep in these pits, parietal cells produce this acid using a protein pump, moving hydrogen ions against a concentration gradient, requiring energy, requiring effort. It's the most concentrated acid your body makes, powerful enough to break down almost anything you swallow. And yet, your stomach lining is replaced completely. Every 3 to 5 days, cells dying, being shed into the acidic soup, and new cells rising from below. An eternal renewal, protection through sacrifice. From your stomach, food moves into your small intestine, but it's not small at all, 20 feet long, coiled and looped inside your abdomen. The inner surface is covered with tiny finger-like projections, villi, millions of them, waving gently, increasing the surface area. And each villus is covered with even tinier projections, microvilli, creating a velvet carpet, soft, vast, about 200 square meters, the size of a tennis court, all folded inside you. This is where nutrients are absorbed. Amino acids from proteins, simple sugars from carbohydrates, fatty acids from fats, vitamins, minerals, everything you need, passing through the intestinal wall, into capillaries, into your bloodstream, or into lacteals, tiny lymph vessels carrying fats. This absorption is not passive. It requires energy, active transport, proteins in the cell membranes, grabbing molecules, pulling them through, feeding you at the cellular level. Your small intestine is also where most digestion happens. Pancreatic enzymes, produced in your pancreas, a slender organ tucked behind your stomach, flow through a duct into the small intestine. Amylase breaking down carbohydrates, lipase breaking down fats, protease breaking down proteins. Each enzyme is specific, precise, a key fitting only one lock, catalyzing reactions that would otherwise take years, making them happen in seconds. Your pancreas also contains clusters of cells, the islets of Langerhans, tiny islands making up only 1% of the organ, but crucial, essential. These cells produce hormones, insulin and glucagon, the sugar gatekeepers. Insulin tells your cells to absorb glucose from your bloodstream, lowering blood sugar. Glucagon tells your liver to release glucose, raising blood sugar, a delicate balance, a constant negotiation, happening automatically, below your awareness, keeping you stable, keeping you alive. As food moves through your small intestine, muscles in the walls contract in waves, peristalsis, a rhythmic dance, squeezing, pushing, propelling everything forward. This happens throughout your entire digestive tract, in your esophagus, stomach, intestines. Even when you're upside down, gravity isn't needed, just waves, soft and steady, like the ocean, like breathing. Where your small intestine meets your large intestine, there's a valve, the ileocecal valve, a swinging door, allowing material to pass from small to large, but not back, one-way traffic. And just below this valve, there's a small pouch, the appendix, long thought to be useless, a vestigial remnant. But now, scientists believe it's a safe house, a refuge for beneficial bacteria, the good microbes that help you digest, that train your immune system, that produce vitamins. When illness wipes out your gut bacteria, the appendix releases its reserves, repopulating your intestines, restoring balance, a silent guardian, a backup system. Your large intestine, about 5 feet long, wider than the small intestine, absorbs water, electrolytes, turning liquid waste into solid. As material moves through, it gets drier, firmer, and living here, in your colon, is a metropolis, a bacterial city, the gut microbiome. Trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, weighing about 200 grams. You're never alone, never singular. You're an ecosystem, a walking world. These bacteria, they're not invaders, not enemies. They're partners, symbionts. They digest fibers you can't break down, producing short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, acetate, propionate, which nourish the cells lining your colon. They produce vitamin K, essential for blood clotting, and B vitamins, thiamine, riboflavin, folate. They train your immune system, teaching it what's dangerous, what's safe. They produce neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, chemicals that affect your mood, your thoughts. Your gut bacteria are talking to your brain constantly through the vagus nerve, through the bloodstream, influencing you in ways still mysterious, still being discovered. Feel the weight of your head pressing into the pillow. Let it be held completely. Your brain, protected by your skull, floating in the cerebrospinal fluid, clear and watery, about 150 milliliters, cushioning, protecting. This fluid is produced by special structures, the choroid plexuses in the ventricles, chambers deep inside your brain. It flows through these chambers, bathes the brain, the spinal cord, and is absorbed back into the bloodstream, completely replaced 3 to 4 times per day, washing away waste, metabolic debris, especially during sleep, when your brain cells shrink slightly, creating more space for the fluid to flow, cleaning, restoring. Your brain is also protected by a barrier, the blood-brain barrier, tight junctions between the cells lining your brain's capillaries, creating a fortress. Only certain molecules can pass through: oxygen, glucose, water, while toxins, pathogens, most drugs, are blocked, kept out, protecting the most precious organ, the seat of consciousness, of you. Different regions of your brain handle different tasks. At the back, the occipital lobe processes vision. On the sides, the temporal lobes handle hearing, memory, language. At the top, the parietal lobes integrate sensory information, touch, temperature, pain, creating a map of your body, a homunculus with disproportionately large hands and lips, areas of high sensitivity. And at the front, the frontal lobes handle planning, decision-making, personality, the throne of executive function, the prefrontal cortex, where you weigh options, imagine futures, choose. Deep inside, the limbic system, ancient structures shared with reptiles, mammals, the amygdala, almond-shaped, processes fear, threat, triggering the fight or flight response faster than conscious thought. The hippocampus, seahorse-shaped, forms new memories, converting short-term experiences into long-term storage. Though it doesn't store them, they're distributed throughout the cortex, neurons firing together, patterns recreating experiences. Memories are not recordings, they're reconstructions, different each time. And beneath everything, the brainstem, the ancient whisper, connecting your brain to your spinal cord, controlling basic functions, breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, sleep-wake cycles. Without it, there is no consciousness, no awareness. It's the core, the foundation, automatic, eternal, keeping you alive while you dream, while you drift. Let your breathing deepen, slower, softer. Your body produces its own painkillers, endorphins, small proteins released by the pituitary gland, a pea-sized structure dangling from the base of your brain. These endorphins bind to opioid receptors throughout your nervous system, blocking pain signals, creating euphoria. They're released during exercise, laughter, love, and one specific endorphin, beta endorphin, is 48 times stronger than morphine. Your body carries within it a pharmacy, ancient medicine, free, always available. The pituitary gland, the hormone herald, is often called the master gland because it controls other glands, releasing signals, telling the thyroid to speed up metabolism, telling the adrenal glands to produce stress hormones, telling the ovaries or reproductive glands to produce reproductive hormones. It releases growth hormone, mostly at night, while you sleep, especially during deep sleep. repairing tissues, building muscle, strengthening bones. Children grow in the dark, in the quiet, in rest. The pituitary also produces prolactin, the milk summoner, which triggers milk production in the mammary glands after childbirth. These glands, modified sweat glands, contain clusters of milk-producing cells, alveoli, surrounded by muscle cells that contract, squeezing milk into ducts, a network converging at a chest point, 15 to 20 openings. Each duct carries milk, colostrum in the first days, thick and yellowish, packed with antibodies, then transitioning to mature milk, white, sweet, perfectly designed nutrition, changing composition throughout the day, throughout the feeding, adapting to the baby's needs, responding, adjusting, wisdom flowing. And the pituitary produces oxytocin, the love chemical, the bonding hormone. Released during childbirth, it triggers contractions, powerful waves, pushing new life into the world. Released during breastfeeding, it triggers milk letdown, the rush of milk, the tingle. Released during touch, during intimacy, during connection, it creates trust, reduces fear, makes you feel close, safe, held. It's ancient, found in all mammals, the molecular basis of love, of bonding, of social connection. Behind the pituitary, deeper in your brain, sits the pineal gland, the moonlight messenger, tiny, pine cone shaped. It produces melatonin, the sleep herald, rising as darkness falls, telling your body it's time to rest. It's sensitive to light, receiving signals from your eyes through a complex pathway. And when light fades, melatonin production increases, making you drowsy, heavy, pulling you towards sleep. It peaks around 2 to 4 a.m., then gradually declines as dawn approaches. Even now, melatonin is flowing through you, softening the edges, blurring thoughts, inviting rest. Feel your body, so heavy now, so relaxed. Your adrenal glands perched atop your kidneys, about the size of walnuts, produce hormones that control stress, energy, salt balance. The outer layer, the cortex, produces cortisol, the stress hormone, highest in the morning, giving you energy to wake, gradually declining through the day, lowest at night when you should be sleeping. It also produces aldosterone, the salt guardian, telling your kidneys to retain sodium and excrete potassium, maintaining blood pressure, maintaining balance. The inner part, the medulla, produces adrenaline and noradrenaline, the fight-fire hormones, released in moments of stress, danger, excitement. They make your heart race, your pupils dilate, your breathing quicken. They redirect blood from your gut to your muscles, preparing you to fight or flee, an ancient system, still active, still protective. But right now, in this quiet moment, adrenaline is low, almost absent, allowing you to sink, to soften, to rest. Your kidneys, bean-shaped organs about the size of your fist, filter your entire blood volume 40 to 50 times per day, every drop of blood cycled through, cleansed. Each kidney contains about 1 million nephrons, tiny filtering units. Each nephron has a glomerulus, a ball of capillaries, where blood pressure forces fluid through into a tubule, a long winding tube, where most of the water and nutrients are reabsorbed selectively, precisely, while waste, urea, creatinine, excess salts continue on, becoming urine. This reabsorption requires energy, active transport, proteins pumping sodium, chloride, glucose, amino acids back into the bloodstream. The kidneys reabsorb about 99% of the filtered fluid, producing only 1 to 2 liters of urine per day. Concentrated, efficient, and they respond to hormones. Antidiuretic hormone from the pituitary, telling them to save water, making urine more concentrated, preventing dehydration, especially at night, so you don't have to wake, so you can sleep through undisturbed. Your kidneys also regulate blood pressure, producing renin, an enzyme that starts a cascade, leading to the production of angiotensin, which constricts blood vessels, raises pressure, and stimulates aldosterone, retaining salt, retaining water, increasing blood volume. They sense blood pressure constantly, adjusting, maintaining. They also produce erythropoietin, a hormone that tells your bone marrow to make more red blood cells when oxygen is low, at high altitude, or during illness, coordinating, adapting, keeping you stable. Let your muscles release, all tension flowing out. Your tendons, thick cords of collagen, connect muscle to bone, transferring force, allowing movement. They're incredibly strong. The Achilles tendon in your heel can withstand forces of up to 1,000 pounds, but they have poor blood supply, healing slowly when injured, patiently, gradually. Your ligaments connect bone to bone, stabilizing joints, preventing dislocation. They're slightly elastic, but not much, designed for stability more than flexibility. In your joints, where bones meet, there's cartilage, smooth, slippery, cushioning impact, reducing friction. It contains no blood vessels, no nerves, receiving nutrients from the synovial fluid, the oil of your joints, a thick, viscous liquid produced by the synovial membrane lining the joint capsule. This fluid is incredible. It lubricates better than any artificial substance, reducing friction to nearly zero, and it acts as a shock absorber, protecting your bones, your cartilage, from damage. Your largest joint, the knee, contains additional cushions, the menisci, C-shaped discs of cartilage, absorbing impact, distributing weight. They're essential, but vulnerable, tearing easily with twisting motions, and healing poorly, like tendons, slow, patient. Most joints are synovial joints, freely movable, like your shoulders, hips, elbows. But some joints are fixed, like those in your skull, sutures, wavy lines where bones fuse, immobile, protective. Your rib cage, 12 pairs of ribs curving around your chest, an armored shield protecting your heart your lungs, your major blood vessels. The first 7 pairs attach directly to your sternum, the breastbone, through costal cartilage, true ribs. The next 3 pairs attach indirectly through the cartilage of the rib above, false ribs, and the last 2 pairs, floating ribs, don't attach to the sternum at all, just hanging, providing protection without restricting movement. Your rib cage expands with every breath. The intercostal muscles between the ribs contracting, lifting, creating space for your lungs to fill. Feel the air moving through you, cool as it enters, warm as it leaves. Your airways, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles are lined with tiny hairs, cilia, millions of them waving in coordinated waves like wheat in wind. They're covered with mucus, sticky, trapping dust, bacteria, particles you inhale, and the cilia wave upward, pushing the mucus toward your throat, where you swallow it or cough it out. A filtering curtain, protecting your lungs, cleaning the air, continuously, tirelessly. Deep in your lungs, the alveoli, these tiny air sacs, are so delicate, so thin, just 1 cell thick, surrounded by capillaries equally thin. The barrier between air and blood is less than half a micrometer, allowing oxygen to diffuse through instantly, effortlessly. And in the alveoli, there's a special substance, surfactant, produced by cells called pneumocytes. This surfactant reduces surface tension, preventing the alveoli from collapsing, keeping them open, springy, ready for the next breath. Without it, breathing would be nearly impossible, exhausting. Premature babies, born before surfactant production is complete, struggle to breathe, their lungs sticky, collapsing, needing help, needing time. Your voice, this unique sound, is created by your vocal cords, 2 folds of tissue stretched across your larynx, your voice box. When you speak, air from your lungs rushes past, making them vibrate, opening and closing 100 to 200 times per second for low voices, 200 to 400 for high voices. These vibrations create sound waves, which your throat, mouth, tongue shape into words, into language, into meaning. But right now, your vocal cords are still, silent, resting, as they should be, in the quiet, in the dark. Let your face relax. Every muscle, your facial bones, 14 of them, create the structure, the framework, the zygomatic bone. Your cheekbone, the guardian arch, provides attachment for muscles, protection for the eye, aesthetic structure. The nasal conchae, the whispering caves, are curved bones inside your nasal cavity, creating turbulence in the air you breathe, warming it, humidifying it, increasing contact with the mucous membranes, enhancing your sense of smell. These bones are delicate, paper thin, fragile, but essential. Your skull has holes, many holes, foramina, where nerves and blood vessels pass through. The largest, the foramen magnum at the base, where your spinal cord exits, connecting brain to body. A gateway. and there are sinuses, air-filled cavities in your skull bones, frontal, maxillary, sphenoid, ethmoid. They make your skull lighter, easier to carry, and they give resonance to your voice, depth. And when they're healthy, they're empty, just air. But when infected, they fill with mucus, pressure building, pain radiating, a reminder of their presence, their function, your teeth. 32 in adults, each one a marvel of engineering. The outer layer, enamel, is the hardest substance in your body, harder than bone, made of crystalline calcium phosphate. It protects the dentin beneath, softer, filled with tiny tubules, channels connecting to the pulp at the center, where nerves and blood vessels live, giving the tooth sensation, life. Your enamel doesn't regenerate. Once damaged, it's damaged permanently, but it can remineralize slightly if you provide the right conditions: calcium, phosphate, fluoride, saliva. Saliva, this endless well, produced by 3 pairs of major salivary glands: parotid, submandibular, sublingual, and hundreds of minor glands scattered throughout your mouth. You produce about 1/2 liter to 1.5 liters per day, mostly while awake, much less at night, allowing your mouth to rest, to quiet. Saliva is 99% water, but that 1% contains enzymes, amylase, beginning carbohydrate digestion, lipase beginning fat digestion, antibacterial compounds, lysozyme, immunoglobulins, protecting you from infection, and it contains minerals that help remineralize your enamel, repair tiny damage, constantly, quietly. Your salivary glands respond to thoughts of food, to smells, to the sight of something delicious, producing saliva before you even take a bite, preparing, anticipating. And they respond to nausea, flooding your mouth with saliva, diluting toxins, preparing to vomit. Protective mechanisms, ancient, automatic. Feel your tongue heavy in your mouth. Your tongue is pure muscle, no bones at all, just 8 muscles working together, interlacing, allowing incredible precision, speech, swallowing, taste. It's covered with papillae, 4 types: fungiform papillae, mushroom-shaped, scattered across the front and sides, containing taste buds, foliate papillae, ridges on the back sides, also with taste buds, circumvallate papillae, large, arranged in a V at the back, each surrounded by a trench, taste buds lining the walls, and filiform papillae, the most numerous, thread-like, covering the surface, no taste buds, but giving the tongue its texture, its grip. Your sense of taste is limited: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami. Just 5 basic tastes, but combined with smell, texture, temperature, these create the rich experience of flavor. Most of what you think is taste is actually smell, aromas traveling from the back of your mouth up into your nasal cavity, reaching the olfactory epithelium, creating perception, complex, layered. When you have a cold and your nose is blocked, food tastes bland, flat, because you can't smell it. Your sense of smell, olfaction, is the most primitive sense, the oldest. It's processed in the olfactory bulb, an extension of your brain, and signals go directly to the limbic system, the emotional center, bypassing the thalamus, the relay station. This is why smells trigger memories so powerfully, so immediately. A whiff of perfume, and suddenly you're back, years ago, in a specific place, with a specific person, emotion flooding through you before you even identify the scent. Your inner ear, hidden in the temporal bone, contains not only the organs of hearing, but also the organs of balance, the semicircular canals, 3 of them, perpendicular to each other, filled with fluid, endolymph. When you turn your head, the fluid moves, bending tiny hairs, hair cells, sending signals to your brain, telling you about rotation, about angular acceleration. Each canal detects movement in a different plane, working together, creating a 3-dimensional sense of rotation. And in the vestibule, 2 organs, the utricle and saccule, detect linear acceleration, forward, backward, up, down. They contain crystals, otoliths, calcium carbonate, embedded in a gel, resting on hair cells. When you accelerate, the crystals lag behind, bending the hairs, signaling movement. These crystals, these balancing stones are essential. Without them, you'd be dizzy, disoriented, unable to know which way is up. Sometimes these crystals come loose, floating into the semicircular canals, causing benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, BPPV, sudden dizziness with head movements, the world spinning, nauseating, frightening, but harmless, treatable with specific movements, repositioning the crystals, returning them home, restoring balance. Let your body be completely supported. Nothing to hold, nothing to do. Your muscles have sensors, Golgi tendon organs. At the junction where muscle meets tendon, they detect tension, how hard the muscle is pulling, preventing damage. If tension gets too high, they signal the muscle to relax, a protective reflex stronger than your conscious control. You can't will your muscle to tear itself apart. The Golgi tendon organs won't allow it. Your smooth muscles, lining your organs, blood vessels, airways, intestines, are different from skeletal muscles. They're not under conscious control. They contract slowly, rhythmically, tirelessly, controlled by the autonomic nervous system and by local factors, stretch, chemicals, hormones. They don't fatigue. They can maintain contraction for hours, days, like the sphincters that keep your bladder and bowels closed until you choose to release them, until you give permission. Your cells, trillions of them, each one a universe, are powered by mitochondria, tiny organelles, once free-living bacteria, billions of years ago, that entered our ancestors' cells and stayed. Symbiosis, mutual benefit. They have their own DNA, separate from your nuclear DNA, inherited only from your mother, an unbroken line, mother to child, back to the beginning. Mitochondria take glucose, oxygen, and produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency of life. Each cell contains hundreds to thousands of mitochondria, depending on its energy needs. Heart cells, full of mitochondria, beating constantly. Muscle cells, packed with mitochondria, contracting, relaxing. Brain cells, dense with mitochondria, thinking, processing, living. The process, cellular respiration, is elegant, complex. Glycolysis breaks glucose into pyruvate in the cytoplasm. Then in the mitochondria, the Krebs cycle, spinning, producing electron carriers, which feed the electron transport chain. Proteins embedded in the inner mitochondrial membrane, passing electrons, pumping protons, creating a gradient, potential energy, and finally, ATP synthase, a molecular motor, literally spinning, using the proton gradient to attach phosphate to ADP, creating ATP. This happens thousands of times per second in every cell, powering everything you do, everything you are. Your DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, is a double helix, 2 strands wound around each other. Each strand is a chain of nucleotides, 4 types: adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, A, T, G, C, pairing specifically. A with T, G with C, complementary. If you uncoiled all the DNA in one cell, it would be about 6 feet long, but it's coiled, supercoiled, wrapped around proteins called histons, packed into chromosomes. 46 of them in human cells, 23 from your mother, 23 from your father. Your DNA contains about 3 billion base pairs, 3 billion letters, but only about 2% code for proteins, genes. The rest, once called junk DNA, is now known to have regulatory functions, controlling when and where genes are expressed, or structural functions, holding everything in place, or unknown functions, still mysterious, still waiting to be understood. Every time a cell divides, the DNA must be copied, replicated, precisely. Enzymes unzip the double helix, expose the bases, and build new complementary strands. DNA polymerase, adding nucleotides, matching, checking, proofreading. The error rate is astonishingly low, about 1 mistake per billion nucleotides. But with 3 billion nucleotides per cell and trillions of cells dividing, mistakes happen, mutations. Most are harmless, some are beneficial, and some cause problems. Cancer, genetic diseases, the price of complexity, the cost of life. But your cells have repair mechanisms, dozens of them, constantly scanning, checking for damage, mismatches, breaks. Enzymes cut out damaged sections, replace them with correct sequences, rejoin the strands. Most damage is fixed, silently, efficiently. You never know, but some damage accumulates, especially in cells that don't divide, like neurons, like heart muscle cells, aging, slow deterioration, the gradual fade. Yet your body also has stem cells, healing armies, undifferentiated cells that can become anything, any cell type needed. They live in your bone marrow, your skin, your gut lining, your brain, waiting. When there's injury, inflammation, they're activated, dividing, differentiating, becoming skin cells, blood cells, neurons, whatever's needed, repairing, regenerating. You're constantly healing, constantly renewing, never quite the same, always becoming. Your eyes, even closed, even in darkness, are still moving, microsaccades, tiny movements, preventing the image from fading, keeping the retina active. These movements are so small, imperceptible, but constant, even now as you drift, and beneath your closed lids, your eyes might drift upward, a sign of deep relaxation, the muscles releasing, letting go, surrendering to sleep. Within each eye, there's a lens, clear, flexible, held by tiny muscles, ciliary muscles that contract and relax, changing the lens shape, focusing light. When you look at something close, these muscles squeeze, the lens thickens, becomes more curved, bending light more sharply. When you look far away, the muscles relax, the lens flattens. This happens automatically, instantly, accommodation. But as you age, the lens becomes stiffer, less flexible. Presbyopia, difficulty focusing close up, needing reading glasses, a natural progression. Time written in the eyes. The pupil, this black circle, is actually an opening, a hole in the iris, the coloured part. The iris contains two sets of muscles, one arranged in a circle, constricting the pupil in bright light, protecting the retina, and one arranged like spokes, dilating the pupil in dim light, gathering every photon, maximizing vision. These muscles respond to light, but also to emotion. Pupils dilate when you're excited, attracted, afraid. Subtle signals, invisible conversations, happening without words. Your tears have 3 layers. The outer layer is oil from the meibomian glands lining your eyelid edges. This oil prevents the tears from evaporating too quickly, keeps them stable, smooth. The middle layer is water from the lacrimal glands, containing nutrients, antibodies, lysozyme, an enzyme that breaks down bacterial cell walls, protecting your eyes from infection. And the inner layer is mucin from goblet cells in the conjunctiva, the clear membrane covering your eye. This mucin helps tears spread evenly, coat the surface, create a smooth optical surface for clear vision. When you blink, your eyelids spread these tears, refresh the film, clear away debris. You blink less when concentrating, staring at screens, which is why your eyes get dry, tired, irritated. Blinking is essential, protective, restorative, and right now, your eyes are closed, still, resting behind their lids, in the dark, where they should be. Let your jaw hang loose, your temporomandibular joint, where your jaw connects to your skull, is one of the most complex joints, allowing up and down movement, side to side, forward and back, incredible range, essential for chewing, speaking, yawning. It's also one of the most used joints, moving thousands of times per day, and sometimes stressed, strained, clenching during sleep, grinding teeth, bruxism, causing pain, headaches, wearing down enamel. But tonight, let it rest, let it release. No tension, no grinding, just softness, just ease. Your throat, the pharynx, is a muscular tube connecting your mouth and nose to your esophagus and larynx. It's a crossroads where food and air paths intersect. When you swallow, a complex choreography begins. Your tongue pushes food backward, triggering the swallow reflex, automatic, unstoppable once started. The soft palate rises, closing off your nasal cavity. The larynx lifts and tilts forward, closing off your airway. The epiglottis, a flap of cartilage, folds down over the larynx, a secondary seal, and the upper esophageal sphincter, usually closed, relaxes, opens, allowing food to pass through. This all happens in about 1 second, perfectly coordinated, involving over 50 muscles. You swallow 600 to 2,000 times per day, mostly unconsciously, clearing saliva, mucus, keeping your throat clear, and you almost never choke, almost never aspirate, because this system is so reliable, so precise, evolved over millions of years, protecting your airway, keeping you alive. Your esophagus, about 10 inches long, is lined with muscle. 2 layers, inner circular, outer longitudinal, working in waves, peristalsis, pushing food downward toward your stomach. This happens whether you're upright or upside down. Gravity helps, but isn't necessary. Astronauts can swallow in zero gravity, the muscles doing all the work, powerful, rhythmic, unstoppable. At the junction between your esophagus and stomach, the lower esophageal sphincter, a ring of muscle, normally closed, keeping stomach acid from flowing back up, reflux, but sometimes it weakens, relaxes too much, and acid escapes, burning, painful, heartburn, gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. Despite the name, it has nothing to do with your heart, though the pain can feel similar, frightening. It's your esophagus protesting the acid, inflammation, irritation, soothed by gravity, by sitting upright, by medication that reduces acid production, by time. Your stomach acid is remarkable. pH of 1.5 to 3.5, incredibly acidic. It kills most bacteria, parasites, pathogens you swallow, protecting you from infection, food poisoning. It also activates pepsinogen, an inactive enzyme, converting it to pepsin, which breaks down proteins into smaller peptides, beginning digestion. This acid is so strong, it would burn your skin, your eyes, anywhere outside the stomach, but inside, protected by mucus, by bicarbonate, by rapid cell turnover. It's safe, contained, controlled. Sometimes the stomach lining is damaged, the protective barrier compromised, Helicobacter pylori, a bacteria that survives stomach acid, can burrow into the mucus layer, causing inflammation, gastritis, or ulcers, painful erosions, bleeding. For decades, stress was blamed, spicy foods. But in the 1980s, 2 Australian scientists discovered H. pylori, proving bacteria could cause ulcers. Revolutionary. They were ridiculed until one of them, Barry Marshall, drank a flask of H. pylori, gave himself gastritis, proved the connection. Later, they won the Nobel Prize. Science advances slowly, then suddenly, through courage, through proof. Your stomach stretches when you eat. Receptors in the wall, mechanoreceptors, detect the stretch, send signals to your brain. The fullness voice of the stomach stretch receptors, creating the sensation of fullness, satiety, telling you to stop eating. But this signal takes time, 15 to 20 minutes, which is why eating slowly helps you eat less, gives the signal time to arrive, to register. Modern life, fast food, eating on the run, overrides this. You eat too much, too fast, before your body can say stop. Your body also produces hormones that regulate hunger and fullness. Ghrelin, produced by your stomach, the hunger signal, rises before meals, stimulating appetite, making you feel empty, restless, seeking food. After eating, ghrelin drops, the signal fades, and your fat cells produce leptin, the fullness voice, signaling long-term energy stores, telling your brain you have enough, you can stop, reduce intake. But in obesity, leptin resistance can develop. The brain stops listening, the signal ignored, hunger persisting despite abundant stores, a dysregulation, a miscommunication, complex, multifactorial. Feel your abdomen soft, relaxed. Your intestines are coiled inside, about 25 feet of them, small and large combined, constantly moving, mixing, propelling. Even now, even as you rest, digestion never stops, never pauses. It takes 24 to 72 hours for food to travel the entire length, mouth to elimination, depending on what you eat. Fiber speeds things up, adding bulk, water, stimulating movement. Processed foods, low in fiber, slow things down, constipation, discomfort, straining. The junction between your small and large intestine, the ileocecal valve, allows material to pass one way, but prevents backflow, protecting the small intestine from bacterial overgrowth. The large intestine, your colon, is home to trillions of bacteria, but the small intestine should be relatively sterile, low in bacteria. When bacteria migrate upward, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, symptoms occur: bloating, pain, malabsorption, treated with antibiotics, probiotics, dietary changes, restoring balance, restoring order. Your large intestine absorbs water, electrolytes, sodium, chloride, potassium, concentrating waste as material moves through, from right to left, ascending transverse, descending colon, It becomes progressively drier, firmer, finally reaching the lower bowel, the last 6 inches, where it's stored until convenient, socially appropriate to release. Your perineal sphincters, internal and external, control this release. The internal sphincter is involuntary, smooth muscle, relaxing automatically when the lower bowel fills. The external sphincter is voluntary, skeletal muscle, under conscious control, allowing you to wait, to choose the moment, to maintain dignity, control. Defecation. This daily act involves complex coordination. You sit, relaxing the external sphincter. The puborectalis muscle, which normally creates a bend, straightens, opening the pathway. Abdominal muscles contract. The diaphragm descends, increasing pressure, and the internal sphincter relaxes. Waste is expelled, eliminated, and immediately you feel lighter, relieved, comfortable, the body releasing what it doesn't need, what would be toxic if retained, efficient, elegant, necessary. Your body is always balancing fluid, electrolytes, pH, temperature, glucose, calcium, hormones, homeostasis. This dynamic equilibrium that requires constant monitoring, constant adjustment, thousands of feedback loops, negative feedback, where the response opposes the change, bringing things back to normal, like temperature regulation. When you're too hot, you sweat, vasodilate, dissipate heat, cooling down. When you're too cold, you shiver, vasoconstrict, generate and conserve heat, warming up, all automatic, all unconscious. Your hypothalamus, the brain's thermostat, making decisions, sending signals, maintaining 37 degrees Celsius, 98.6 Fahrenheit, the optimal temperature for enzymes, for reactions, for life. Sometimes this system fails. Fever develops, infection, inflammation. The hypothalamus resets the thermostat higher. You feel cold, even though you're hot. You shiver, generate more heat, reaching the new set point where you feel normal again. Though you're burning, the fever serves a purpose. Many bacteria and viruses grow poorly at higher temperatures. Your immune system functions better. Antibodies, white blood cells, more active, more effective. So fever, within limits, is protective, helpful, not dangerous unless extreme. Above 40 degrees Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit, where proteins denature, neurons malfunction, seizures can occur. Let your body temperature drop slightly, as it should at night, falling about half a degree, conserving energy, promoting deep sleep. This drop is regulated by melatonin, by darkness, by circadian rhythms. Your internal 24-hour clock, governed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny region in your hypothalamus, about 20,000 neurons, receiving input from your eyes, from light, synchronizing to the day-night cycle, coordinating sleep, wakefulness, hormone release, body temperature, digestion, everything timed, everything rhythmic. When this rhythm is disrupted by shift work, jet lag, irregular sleep schedules, problems arise, insomnia, fatigue, mood disturbances, increased risk of metabolic diseases, cardiovascular disease, cancer. Your body expects predictability, regularity, light during day, darkness at night, meals at consistent times, sleep at consistent times. Modern life disrupts this. Artificial light, screens, 24-hour access. But your biology remains ancient, adapted to sunrise and sunset, to seasons, to nature's rhythms, not to fluorescent lights, not to midnight Netflix. The mismatch creates stress, dysregulation, suffering. But tonight, in this darkness, in this stillness, your circadian rhythm is supported, aligned, melatonin rising, body temperature dropping, heart rate slowing, everything conspiring, encouraging, pulling you towards sleep, toward rest, toward restoration. This is right, this is natural, this is what your body needs, what it craves, what it's designed for. Your muscles, even at rest, maintain some tension, muscle tone, keeping you upright during the day, maintaining posture. But during sleep, especially REM sleep, this tone disappears almost completely. Atonia, complete relaxation, except for your diaphragm, your heart, essential muscles that never stop, never rest. Your diaphragm contracts 20,000 times per day, every day, for your entire life, never fatiguing and never failing, unless disease intervenes. An incredible endurance, an incredible reliability, testament to design, to evolution, to the power of selection over billions of years. Your heart muscle, cardiac muscle, is unique, different from skeletal muscle, different from smooth muscle. It's striated like skeletal muscle, showing bands under a microscope, but it's involuntary like smooth muscle, controlled automatically, not by conscious will. The cells are branched, interconnected, forming a network, a syncytium, where electrical signals spread from cell to cell through gap junctions, channels connecting the cytoplasm. This allows the heart to contract as a unit, synchronized, coordinated, efficient, every cell receiving the signal nearly simultaneously, the whole organ squeezing together, pumping blood, maintaining life. Your heart has 4 chambers, 2 atria on top, receiving blood, 2 ventricles below, pumping blood. The right side receives deoxygenated blood from your body, pumps it to your lungs for oxygenation. The left side receives oxygenated blood from your lungs, pumps it to your body, delivering oxygen, nutrients, 2 circuits, pulmonary and systemic, working in series, one after the other, but simultaneously, because they're part of the same organ, the same cycle. Between the chambers, valves, one-way doors, the tricuspid valve, between right atrium and right ventricle, the pulmonary valve, between right ventricle and pulmonary artery, the mitral valve, between left atrium and left ventricle, the aortic valve, between left ventricle and aorta. Each valve opens and closes passively, responding to pressure differences. No active control, just physics, elegant mechanics. When working properly, they're silent, but when damaged, narrowed, leaking, they create murmurs, abnormal sounds, turbulent flow, sometimes harmless, sometimes serious, requiring monitoring, sometimes requiring surgery, replacement, repair. Your heartbeat has a sound, lub-dub, lub-dub. The first sound, lub, is the closing of the tricuspid and mitral valves, the AV valves, as the ventricles contract, systole. The second sound, dub, is the closing of the pulmonary and aortic valves, the semilunar valves, as the ventricles relax, diastole, filling again, preparing for the next beat. This cycle repeats 60 to 100 times per minute at rest, more during exercise, emotion, stress, fewer during sleep, deep relaxation, athletes at rest. Your heart adapts, responds, adjusts to demands, constantly, faithfully. The blood leaving your left ventricle enters the aorta, your largest artery, about an inch in diameter. It arches upward, then descends, branches supplying your head, arms, organs, legs. These arteries have thick walls, elastic, muscular. They stretch with each heartbeat, storing energy, then recoil, pushing blood forward, smoothing the pulsatile flow from the heart, creating continuous flow in the capillaries. This elasticity decreases with age. Arteriosclerosis. Hardening of the arteries, the walls becoming stiffer, less compliant, blood pressure rising, the heart working harder, wear and tear, the cost of time. Arteries branch into smaller arteries, arterioles, which have muscular walls that can constrict or dilate, controlling blood flow to different organs, different tissues. When you exercise, arterioles in your muscles dilate, increasing flow, delivering oxygen, nutrients, while arterioles in your digestive system constrict, reducing flow, redirecting blood where it's needed most. This is why eating a large meal before exercise causes cramps, discomfort, competing demands, insufficient supply. Your body prioritizes survival over digestion, movement over rest, when necessary, when challenged. Arterioles lead to capillaries, the smallest vessels, 5 to 10 micrometers in diameter, just wide enough for red blood cells to pass through, single file, squeezing, deforming. The walls are 1 cell thick, endothelial cells, allowing easy diffusion, oxygen out, carbon dioxide in, nutrients out, waste in. This is where the action is, where the purpose of circulation is fulfilled. Everything else, heart, arteries, veins, exist to support this. These tiny exchanges in trillions of capillaries throughout your body, invisible, essential, life-sustaining. From capillaries, blood enters venules, small veins, then larger veins, returning to the heart. But veins are different from arteries, thinner walls, less muscle, less elastic, lower pressure. Blood flows slowly here, sometimes against gravity, especially from your legs. How does it return? Muscle contractions. When you move, squeeze the veins, pushing blood upward, and veins have valves, one-way flaps, preventing backflow, ensuring blood moves toward the heart, not pooling in the extremities. When these valves fail, varicose veins develop, twisted, enlarged, blood pooling, aching, visible blue lines beneath the skin, not dangerous usually, but uncomfortable, unsightly, a sign of strain, of aging, of standing too long. Your blood is remarkable. This red river, about 45% of blood volume is cells, mostly red blood cells, erythrocytes. The remaining 55% is plasma, the liquid portion, mostly water, but also proteins, albumin, antibodies, clotting factors, hormones, nutrients, waste products, electrolytes, everything dissolved, transported, circulating. Red blood cells are unique. In mammals, they lose their nucleus when mature, becoming biconcave discs, flexible, able to deform, to squeeze through narrow capillaries. This shape also increases surface area, improving gas exchange, oxygen binding to hemoglobin, the protein filling each cell. 400 million molecules per cell, each hemoglobin binding 4 oxygen molecules, reversibly, loading in the lungs, unloading in the tissues, depending on oxygen concentration, pH, temperature, elegant chemistry, exquisite sensitivity. Hemoglobin contains iron in the heme group, giving blood its red color. When oxygen binds, bright red, arterial blood, oxygenated. When oxygen releases, dark red, venous blood, deoxygenated. This is why veins look blue through your skin, not because the blood is blue, but because of how light penetrates and reflects, a quirk of physics, an optical illusion. The blood is always red, always carrying life, always flowing. Feel the blood moving through you, even now, even in stillness, pulsing, circulating, bringing oxygen, removing waste, connecting every part of you. You're not separate regions, separate organs. You're one system, integrated, interdependent, each part supporting the others, relying on the others, in constant communication, constant exchange. This is the miracle of multicellular life, of complex organisms, billions of cells cooperating, coordinating, creating something greater than the sum, creating you, creating consciousness, creating awareness, this moment, this experience, this peaceful drift towards sleep. Your white blood cells, leukocytes, are fewer than red cells. About 1 white cell for every 700 red cells. But they're crucial, essential, your defense, your protection. There are several types, each with specific roles. Neutrophils, the most abundant, are first responders, arriving quickly at sites of infection, engulfing bacteria, fungi, destroying them. They live only a few days, dying in the battle, forming pus, the debris of war. Eosinophils attack parasites, too large to engulf, releasing toxic substances, enzymes, perforating their membranes. They're also involved in allergic reactions, sometimes causing more harm than good, inflammation, tissue damage, overzealous defense. Basophils release histamine during allergic reactions, causing blood vessels to dilate, become leaky, fluid entering tissues, swelling, redness, warmth, inflammation. This is protective when fighting infection, bringing more blood, more immune cells to the site. But in allergies, it's misguided. Overreaction to harmless substances, pollen, dust, food proteins, causing suffering instead of protection. Antihistamines block these effects, reducing symptoms, providing relief. Monocytes are large cells that circulate briefly, then move into tissues, becoming macrophages, big eaters. They engulf dead cells, debris, pathogens. They also present antigens, fragments of destroyed invaders, to lymphocytes, initiating adaptive immunity. Specific, targeted, remembered. Macrophages live for months, years, patrolling tissues and cleaning, protecting, maintaining. They're everywhere. In your lungs, alveolar macrophages. In your liver, Kupffer cells. In your brain, microglia. In bone, osteoclasts. Different names, but similar function. Guardians, custodians, silent workers. Lymphocytes are the stars of adaptive immunity. B cells and T cells, they're small but powerful, capable of recognizing millions of different antigens, foreign molecules. Each lymphocyte is specific, recognizing only one antigen. When it encounters that antigen, it activates, divides rapidly, clonal expansion, creating an army. All with the same specificity, all targeting the same invader. This takes days, which is why adaptive immunity is slower than innate immunity. But it's more powerful, more specific, and it creates memory. Some daughter cells become memory cells, long-lived, persisting for decades, ready to respond immediately if the same pathogen returns. This is immunity. This is why you don't get chickenpox twice, why vaccines work, training your immune system, preparing defenses without the disease. Your immune system must distinguish self from non-self, your own cells from invaders. This is learned during development in the thymus, in the bone marrow. T cells and B cells that react to self-antigens are eliminated, killed. Negative selection. Only cells that ignore self, that react only to foreign, are allowed to survive, to mature, to circulate. But sometimes this process fails. Autoimmunity develops, the immune system attacking your own tissues. Type 1 diabetes, attacking pancreatic beta cells. Rheumatoid arthritis, attacking joints. Multiple sclerosis, attacking myelin, the insulation around nerves. These diseases are chronic, debilitating, currently incurable, managed with immunosuppression, dampening the attack, but also dampening protection. A difficult balance, ongoing challenge. Let all thoughts drift away, dissolving like mist. Your body continues its work, unnoticed, unappreciated, but never stopping, never complaining, just being, just functioning, sustaining you or protecting you, adapting to whatever comes, resilient, remarkable, and right now it's preparing for sleep, for the deep rest, the restoration that comes only in darkness, only in stillness, only in surrender. Your skin creates new life constantly. Down in the basal layer, cells divide, daughter cells pushing upward, through the layers, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, where they fill with keratin, losing their nuclei, dying, becoming protective armor, stratum corneum, the outermost layer, dead cells, flattened, overlapping like roof shingles, waterproof, flexible, shedding. This journey takes about 28 days, a month-long migration, birth to death, renewal. Within your skin, melanocytes, the color creators, produce melanin, a pigment that absorbs ultraviolet light, protecting your DNA from damage. These cells have long arms, dendrites, reaching out to surrounding skin cells, transferring melanin, like giving out umbrellas. The more melanin, the darker your skin, the better protected. People with darker skin evolved in areas with intense sunlight. Adaptation, protection, survival. And melanin isn't just one type. Eumelanin is brown to black. Pheomelanin is red to yellow, the ratio determining your unique shade, your unique protection. Your skin also has glands, millions of them, sebaceous glands, attached to hair follicles, produce sebum, an oily substance that waterproofs your skin, keeps it soft, supple, prevents cracking. These glands are most numerous on your face, scalp, upper back, which is why these areas can be oily, especially during adolescence when hormones surge, stimulating production. Sometimes sebaceous glands get blocked, bacteria multiply, inflammation occurs, acne, painful, frustrating, but eventually, usually, resolving as hormones stabilize, as the body matures. Eccrine glands, sweat rivers, are distributed all over your body, 2 to 4 million of them. They produce watery sweat, mostly salt and water, for cooling, thermoregulation. When your body temperature rises from exercise, heat, fever, these glands activate, flooding your skin with moisture which evaporates, carrying heat away, cooling you, efficient, elegant. You can sweat several liters per hour in extreme conditions, losing not just water, but also salt, electrolytes, needing replacement, needing balance. Apocrine glands, scent signals, are found mainly in your armpits, groin, around your chest points. They develop during puberty, producing a thicker, odorless secretion. But bacteria on your skin break it down, creating the characteristic smell, body odor. Each person's scent is unique, determined by genetics, diet, health, hormones, microbiome. It's a signature, invisible, but present. Other mammals rely heavily on scent for recognition, for attraction, for territory. Humans less so, but still, it's there. subconscious, influential. Your hair, these protein threads, grow from follicles, tiny pits in your skin. At the base of each follicle, the hair bulb contains rapidly dividing cells, pushing upward, hardening, keratinizing. Each hair grows at about 6 inches per year, half a millimeter per day, in cycles, anagen phase, active growth, lasting years for scalp hair. Then catagen, a brief transition, 2 weeks. The follicle shrinks. Then telogen, resting phase, 2 to 3 months, before the hair falls out and the cycle begins again. This is why you shed 50 to 100 hairs per day. Normal, natural, old hairs making way for new. The color of your hair, like your skin, comes from melanocytes in the follicle. As you age, these cells slow down, produce less melanin, eventually stop. The hair grows white, grey, silver. Each follicle ages independently, which is why greying is gradual, scattered. Some people grey early, some late. Genetics, stress, possibly, but mostly your time, the inevitable fade. Your nails, these hard plates, grow from the nail matrix, a pocket of tissue beneath the cuticle. Cells here divide, produce keratin, harden, push forward. Fingernails grow about 3 millimeters per month. Toenails slower, about 1 millimeter. It takes 4 to 6 months to completely replace a fingernail. 12 to 18 months for a toenail. The white half moon at the base, the lunula, is the visible part of the matrix. Lighter because the cells are newer, less compact, more opaque. Nails protect the sensitive tips of your fingers and toes, enhance fine motor control, allow you to scratch, pick up small objects. They're tools, built in, always available, and they're indicators of health. Changes in color, texture, shape can signal disease, nutrient deficiencies, circulation problems. Your body speaks if you know how to listen. Let everything soften, dissolve. Your thyroid gland, a butterfly-shaped organ in your neck, wrapped around your trachea, produces thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, the fiery forge. These hormones regulate metabolism, the rate at which your cells burn fuel, produce energy. They affect almost every cell in your body: heart rate, body temperature, weight, mood, energy levels. Too much, and you're anxious, hot, losing weight, heart racing. Too little, and you're tired, cold, gaining weight, sluggish, depressed. Balance is essential, delicate, controlled by the pituitary, which is controlled by the hypothalamus, a hierarchy, a feedback loop, maintaining stability. Your thyroid needs iodine, a trace element, to produce these hormones. Without enough iodine, the thyroid swells, trying to compensate, forming a goiter, a visible bulge in the neck. This was once common, especially inland, away from the ocean, away from iodine-rich seafood. Now, iodine is added to salt, preventing deficiency, protecting the population. A simple solution, profound impact. Attached to your thyroid, 4 tiny glands, the parathyroid glands, the calcium keepers. They produce parathyroid hormone, PTEH, which regulates calcium levels in your blood. Calcium is crucial for bone strength, yes, but also for nerve function, muscle contraction, blood clotting, enzyme activity. PTH increases calcium by triggering bones to release it, by telling kidneys to retain it, by activating vitamin D, which increases calcium absorption from food. Everything connected, everything balanced. Your body is electric. Every thought, every movement, every heartbeat is electrical. Neurons communicate through action potentials, rapid changes in voltage across the cell membrane, caused by ions, sodium, potassium, flowing through channels, proteins that open and close, gates responding to voltage, to chemicals, to mechanical pressure. When a neuron is at rest, the inside is negative, about negative 70 millivolts. But when stimulated, sodium channels open, sodium rushes in, the voltage spikes to positive 30 millivolts, depolarization, then potassium channels open, potassium flows out, repolarization, returning to rest. This wave of depolarization, the action potential, travels down the axon, the neuron's long arm, at speeds up to 400 feet per second in the fastest neurons, slower in others, but always, precisely, reliably. At the end of the axon, the signal reaches the synapse, the gap between neurons. The action potential triggers vesicles, tiny bubbles filled with neurotransmitter molecules, to fuse with the membrane, releasing their contents into the synaptic cleft. The electric whispers of synapses. These molecules drift across milliseconds and bind to receptors on the next neuron, opening ion channels, starting the process again, or sometimes closing channels, inhibiting, preventing action. The balance of excitation and inhibition determines whether the next neuron fires, whether the signal continues or stops. There are dozens of different neurotransmitters, each with specific functions. Dopamine, the pleasure flood, involved in reward, motivation, movement, too little, and you get Parkinson's disease, tremors, rigidity, difficulty moving. Serotonin, the calm blanket, regulates mood, sleep, appetite, too little, depression, anxiety, disrupted sleep. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, the main inhibitory neurotransmitter, calming neural activity, preventing overstimulation. Many anti-anxiety drugs enhance GABA, increasing inhibition, creating calm. Glutamate, the main excitatory neurotransmitter, drives neural activity, learning, memory. Too much, and it's toxic, killing neurons, as happens during stroke, when damaged tissue floods the brain with glutamate. Your brain operates on patterns, networks of neurons firing together, neurons that fire together, wire together, strengthening their connections, making the pattern more likely to repeat. This is learning, memory formation, practice. Every time you repeat an action, a thought, the neural pathway strengthens, becomes faster, more automatic. This is how skills become second nature, how habits form, good and bad, neural paths worn smooth, easy to travel. But the brain is also plastic, changeable. New connections can form, old ones can weaken, fade. You can learn at any age, change at any age, the brain adapting, forever flexible, forever learning. During sleep, especially during REM sleep, the dreaming theatre, your brain is incredibly active. Your eyes move rapidly beneath your lids, giving REM its name. Your muscles are paralyzed, except for your diaphragm, your heart, your eyes. This paralysis protects you, prevents you from acting out your dreams, from hurting yourself. Sometimes the paralysis persists briefly after waking. Sleep paralysis. Frightening. You're awake, aware, but can't move, can't speak, often accompanied by hallucinations. A pressure on the chest, a presence in the room, terrifying, but harmless, temporary. Your brain and body out of sync. Dreams are mysterious. Everyone dreams, multiple times per night, even if you don't remember. Each sleep cycle lasts about 90 minutes, starting with light sleep, descending into deep sleep, then rising back to REM, where most vivid dreams occur. As the night progresses, REM periods get longer. Dreams more elaborate, more emotional, more bizarre. Your brain is processing, consolidating memories, integrating experiences, solving problems. Perhaps the content often reflects your waking concerns, your fears, your desires, but transformed, symbolic, illogical, because the frontal cortex, the logical, critical part, is less active, allowing free association, creativity, madness. Feel yourself drifting, hovering at the edge, between waking and sleep, hypnagogia, this liminal space, where thoughts become images, where logic dissolves, where the boundaries blur. You might see patterns, faces, scenes, brief, fleeting. You might hear your name called, feel like you're falling, snapping awake, hypnic jolt, your muscles twitching as motor neurons fire randomly, as control shifts from waking systems to sleeping systems. It's normal, harmless, a glitch in the transition. Your body during sleep is not inactive, not passive. It's working, repairing, restoring. Your immune system ramps up, producing cytokines, proteins that fight infection, inflammation. This is why you need more sleep when you're sick, when you're stressed. Your body is fighting, healing. Growth hormone is released, repairing tissues, building muscle. Children grow, almost exclusively at night. Deep sleep triggering release and spurts of growth, literal, measurable. Your brain clears waste through the glymphatic system, a recently discovered network. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through channels around blood vessels, washing through brain tissue, carrying away metabolic debris, beta amyloid, tau proteins, substances that accumulate during waking that may contribute to neurodegenerative diseases. This clearance happens mostly during sleep, when brain cells shrink slightly, creating more space for fluid to flow. This is why sleep is protective, why chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of Alzheimer's, of cognitive decline. Your brain needs this nightly wash, this cleansing tide. Your muscles relax completely during sleep, especially during REM, allowing recovery, repair. Your heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, giving your cardiovascular system rest, respite from the day's demands. Your breathing slows, becomes regular, rhythmic. Sometimes, in deep sleep, it pauses briefly, a few seconds, then resumes, normal, unless the pauses are long, frequent. Obstructive sleep apnea, where the airway collapses, blocking breath, oxygen dropping, the brain waking you, briefly, repeatedly, fragmenting sleep, leaving you exhausted, despite hours in bed, unrefreshing, harmful. But for most, sleep is restorative, essential. You spend about 1/3 of your life asleep, 25 years or more. It seems like wasted time, unproductive, but without it, you die, faster than from starvation. Sleep deprivation causes cognitive impairment, memory problems, mood disturbances, hallucinations, immune suppression, weight gain, increased risk of chronic diseases. Sleep is not optional, not negotiable. It's as vital as food, as water, as air. Let yourself surrender to it, to the pull, the weight, the softness. Your body knows what to do. It's done this thousands of times, tens of thousands. It will do it thousands more. This is natural, safe, necessary. You're held by the earth, by gravity, by the mattress beneath you, by the darkness around you. There's nothing to fear, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just rest, just breathe, just be. Your heart still beating, thump, thump, steady, reliable. Your lungs still breathing, in, out, automatic, eternal. Your brain still processing, still dreaming. Even as consciousness fades, slips away, your body, this incredible machine, this mystery, this miracle, continues, works through the night, protecting you, healing you, preparing you for tomorrow, for the next day, the next challenge, the next joy. You are more than you know, more complex, more resilient, more beautiful. Trillions of cells working in harmony, billions of years of evolution encoded in your DNA, in your structure, in your function. You carry the ocean in your blood, salt water, same concentration as ancient seas. You carry the stars in your bones, calcium forged in supernovae, exploding stars scattered across space, gathered here, in you. You're stardust, aware, conscious, alive, and you are temporary, every cell replacing itself, every atom exchanged, over years, over decades. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago, physically, literally. The atoms have changed, the molecules, the cells. Only the pattern remains, the information, the organization, the unus, persisting through flux, through change, through time, a wave in the ocean, distinct, recognizable, but made of water that flows, that moves, that continues, beyond the wave, beyond the form. This is the mystery of the human body, of being alive, of being conscious, of being you, intricate beyond comprehension, elegant beyond description, fragile and robust, mortal and magnificent. You don't need to understand it all, to appreciate it, to trust it, to let it do what it does best, which is keep you alive, keep you here, in this moment, in this breath, in this heartbeat. So rest now, let go, allow sleep to come, gentle, inevitable, like a tide rising, covering you, holding you, carrying you away to dreams, to darkness, to restoration. Your body will continue, your heart will beat, your lungs will breathe, your brain will dream, and when morning comes, you'll wake, renewed, restored, ready. But that's later, that's tomorrow, that's another world. For now, there's only this, only rest, only peace, only sleep. The universe keeps turning. The complex mechanisms of the human body keep ticking on and will keep drifting, floating together through the mysteries. 100 human body mysteries, looping softly, endlessly, through the night. Tonight we'll drift through why your body creates its own internal painkiller that is thousands of times stronger than morphine, the secret reason you can't tickle yourself, and the specific brain system that blocks it. How the 1 million miles of wiring inside your body keeps the lights on while you sleep. There's nothing you need to do now. Just let your body sink. Heavier, heavier. Feel the mattress holding you, every muscle softening, your heartbeat slowing, thump, thump, matching the rhythm of space itself, shoulders melting down, jaw releasing, each breath pulling you deeper, deeper into the calm, the quiet, the dark.